Hello students, today's poem is called Crossing the Bar by Alfred Tennyson, a really famous, celebrated writer of the 1800s, an English poet. So Tennyson's poems tend to be soft and rhythmic, and he likes to use a lot of quatrains or little four-line stanzas with rhyme, which makes them easy to memorize. Interestingly, in an article on Poetry Foundation, they referenced the idea that he had to write a lot of his poems in his mind and keep them there until he was able to sit down and actually write them. So he kind of had a rhythm, like the rhythm of his steps maybe, or something like that. So I think that's interesting from a musicality point of view. But anyway, so Crossing the Bar, I learned this poem when I was a little girl when I read Anne of Green Gables, and Anne loved Tennyson, so she memorizes or performs The Lady of Shalott for something. So I thought that was cool, and then I learned Crossing the Bar, and it's basically about death, but let's read it first. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call from me, may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea, but such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark, for though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. So I just like that poem. I thought it was really cool, but he's constructing a metaphor, of course, of going out to sea, and that's his transition between life and death. So he wrote this maybe 3 years before he passed away, and he was old, you know, or had lived a nice long life by this point. So he seems to be at peace. There doesn't seem to be any angst or anxiety in his poem. He's just saying it's all good. I'm going to go back home. He expresses his Christian viewpoint that he will meet his pilot, aka God, or his creator, and things are going to be okay. So I think also when I first learned this poem, my dad and I discussed it when I was a kid, and we thought the bar could have meant the horizon line, or at least that's how I interpreted it. So sorry, Dad, if I'm misremembering that. But I think it's maybe people think it's a sandbar that he's crossing beyond, and that's the boundary between mortal existence and immortality. So the word cross is significant too, associated with Christian beliefs and Jesus. So this poem has been on my mind lately as some friends buried a baby, and then I visited a family cemetery where there are 15 graves. 12 are for children and infants, and one is a 35-year-old woman, and one's well, the last two headstones are my great-grandparents who are in their 70s or 80s. But it's really made me think about that, songs and poems about life and death and how people feel about that kind of stuff. So another lovely work that deals with life and death is Margaret Edson's play Wit, wherein she references, or has her characters reference, a John Donne poem, and there's some really nice parts where she talks about the space between life and death just being, or our character talks about life and death being divided by a comma, something really small, just a breath, and that's all it is. So it just leaves us with something to think about. So pretty heavy stuff, but hope you're having a good day and hope to see you soon.